Welcome to this training session on the North Carolina Democratic Party's virtual field office. I'm Christy Boer. I'm the training director for the state party. The agenda for this session includes background information about the registration repair project, introduction to our virtual field office, which you might also see referred to as VFO. Then we'll talk specifically about how you will be helping impacted voters. We'll wrap up with next steps and some additional resources. The history of the registration repair project goes back to the 2024 election, where Justice Allison Riggs won her election to the seat on the state Supreme Court. Her Republican opponent, Jefferson Griffin, fought his loss in the courts, ultimately losing by just over 400 votes. After months of court battles and millions of dollars spent, Justice Riggs was seated. Since then, the Republican-led Board of Elections has decided that the arguments that the Republicans made in court sound like a good idea to them. So while those arguments were denied in court, the Board of Elections now has adopted this perspective and is undertaking a massive voter registration repair project. This project is requiring about 100,000 North Carolina voters to cast provisional ballots unless or until they repair their registrations before they vote again. It's important to know that North Carolina voters didn't do anything wrong. Most of the voters on this list have been voting for years without any problems. But we want to make sure everyone gets the opportunity to vote and doesn't have to use a provisional ballot. So we're going to help these North Carolina voters repair their voter registration and fulfill this administrative requirement. More specifically, registration repair involves a voter updating their voter registration to provide an identification number. That could be their driver's license number, some other state issued ID number, or the last four digits of their social security number. Now that we've heard a little bit about the background of registration repair, let's talk about our virtual field office and what you can expect. If you've canvassed with us before, you know we generally meet in person, hopefully in a large group, and we start our canvasses from a central location. The virtual field office actually gives us more flexibility and a decentralized approach to canvassing so that specifically for registration repair, we can send you to turfs, to doors, to talk to voters close to home, and we don't need to coordinate large group efforts to do that. Here's what you can expect. First, you will join the Zoom meeting and wait in the waiting room. You might spend a couple of minutes in the waiting room before you're admitted to the main meeting while we admit people on a rolling basis. Once you are admitted to the Zoom room, you will join us in the lobby. The Zoom host will probably ask you to unmute. That Zoom host will be either a North Carolina Democratic Party staff member or a specially trained volunteer. They will be there to help you answer any questions you have either before you start your shift or while you're out knocking doors. If you have questions and the virtual field office is open, you can rejoin us to ask for help there. You will meet your Canvas captain. This is the person who will give you your list number, which will be your assigned doors. They will also share any important updates or details and probably ask you to confirm or exchange your contact information with them. That way, if you need to reach out during your shift or if we need to contact you, we will be able to do so. After that, you'll leave the Zoom meeting and get knocking. The list number will go into minivan. Take an opportunity to review or practice the script and make sure you're familiar with it. You may also want to print handouts that you can leave behind for voters. This is optional, but we do really recommend it if you have access to a printer, and then you will talk to voters. Couple quick notes about Minivan. This is our mobile canvassing app. We've used it for several years, and it's particularly important for this program because we really need real-time information to track which voters have been contacted. All of the data you enter is saved automatically to our database, which means no one needs to do any data entry after your canvass. We've learned the background of registration repair. I've shared what to expect and how the virtual field office operates. So let's talk about how specifically you will be helping impacted voters. First, we are contacting people who meet two specific criteria. First, they are consistent voters for Democrats. So either they're registered as Democrats, they might be registered as unaffiliated, but our data shows us that they are Democratic leaning voters. And second, they are on the State Board of Elections registration repair list. When we talk to these voters, we're going to let them know that their registration needs repair. Not everybody follows political news as closely as you and I probably do, so they might not even be aware of this. This is why it's really important that we're leading with empathy. Being authentic, being empathetic is going to go a long way in helping these voters, especially if they haven't heard about this project before. We will then be giving voters all the information that they need to repair their registration before the next election. There are three ways people can repair their registration. I'll share those details in a moment. You can also go to the State Board of Elections website. They have a registration repair portal where you can find all of this information. No matter which method a voter chooses, they will need to provide that identification number, whether it's their North Carolina driver's license, some other state issued ID number, or the last four digits of their social security number. If a voter doesn't have any of those things, they should contact their county board of elections directly and ask them for help identifying what option is best for them. The first method people have to repair their registration is online. Voters can go to the DMV's website. They can go to payments.ncdot.gov, and that's where they can update their voter registration. It has a chatbot format which will prompt people to provide the information that's needed. The second option is going directly to the County Board of Elections. I'll put a link in the Google video description so you know where to go to find the address for the County Board of Elections. But voters can go in person to that office, take their driver's license, their ID number, or have their social security number handy and complete the updated voter registration there. The third option is by mail. The State Board of Elections has mailed a letter to the impacted voters back in August to let them know about this project. Another mailing is planned for late in 2025. So if these voters have that mail handy and they have the envelope, it will say that it's from the North Carolina State Board of Elections and it will be labeled official election mail. Voters can mail back the form that's in that letter from the Board of Elections. It also includes a pre-addressed and stamped envelope, so they don't have to round up a stamp. Again, they'll need to provide an ID number or their social security number. When we're talking to voters, be aware that they might be skeptical or maybe even a little suspicious. After all, we are talking about people's social security numbers, which we have learned over the years is really important to keep private. So voters might not know about this project. Again, they've probably voted before and not had any problems. So it's important for us to empathize. They might be confused, they might be frustrated. One thing you can tell people is they can go to the State Board of Elections website themselves to verify that what you're telling them is legitimate. It's okay if you don't have the answers to all of their questions when you talk to voters. I'll share information in a bit on the registration repair manual, which goes into more depth on some of these issues. But once most voters understand that you're there to help them and help them make sure that they can, in fact, vote in the next election without having to use a provisional ballot, they're generally appreciative, patient, and want to repair their registration. If you face complicated situations, you might not have the answer right on the tip of your tongue. No big deal. You can reference the manual for those complicated situations, or you might even need to contact your Canvas captain. Don't feel pressure to have all the information. It's just really important that when you give an answer, we know that it's right. Here are examples of things you might say to voters when you run into those tricky situations. That's a really good question. I didn't know that either until I started volunteering on this project, but I do have my manual. So let me look it up and make sure I give you the right answer. You might not have the answer in your manual, in which case you could say, that's such a complicated situation. I haven't come across that yet. But I do have someone who's been doing this longer and knows a bit more than me. So let me call them and ask. It's no wonder you're having problems with this process. It's really complicated. Let's talk now about the next steps. After this training, you should complete your quiz. So there is a registration repair canvasser readiness quiz. It's in the confirmation email that came to you from Mobilize. If you can't find that, it will also be emailed to you again the Wednesday before your planned virtual field office shift. There are two types of questions in this quiz. First is logistics. Your name, your email, what part of the state you're in, what area you want to knock doors. The second part is just a short quiz about some of the basics of the registration repair process to make sure I've explained things adequately and you know what you're about to do. Second, print out the handouts. These are great to leave behind either if you knock on somebody's door and they're not at home, or even while you're talking to somebody. This can let people know that you're legitimate to have this handout. And it is available in both English and Spanish. So if you have access to a printer, it's a good idea to print 10, 15, 20 of these to carry with you. Next, the manual. So you can see here the web address so you can access the manual. I'll also put it in the video description below, ncdp.org/repair hyphen manual. This goes into more detail on all of the information that I've shared, so it can be helpful to have it handy with you. Maybe I would probably download it to my Kindle and carry that with me if something tricky came up, or you might find that you want to print it and have it with you. After that, join us in the virtual field office. You have signed up probably for a particular day and time. Join us in the Zoom meeting at that appointed time. Then go knock your doors. As you knock doors, as you talk to people, or they're not home, record that information in Minivan as you go along. And then finally, debrief. So after you've gotten through your list, let your Canvas captain know how it went. They might ask you to call or text them when you're done, or maybe you'll rejoin us in the virtual field office to let us know how did it go? Were you able to talk to people? What questions do you have or did they have that we can help you with? Some quick canvassing do's and don'ts. Some of these are specific to this registration repair project. So we always ask you to finish the list that we give you. What's different with registration repair is that the doors you knock on might not be as dense as they usually are, which means you're more likely to drive from door to door than a typical canvas. We do provide a script in Minivan, so use that, but of course, make it sound natural to you and like you're having a normal conversation with someone. Speak loudly, clearly, enunciate. Make sure that the person you're talking to can understand what you're saying. You're going to empathize with people and help provide solutions and help them figure out the best way to repair their voter registration. Use the resources you have available to you, including the manual and your Canvas captain, and have fun. Let voters know that you are there to help them. Some don'ts. The first one is absolutely the most important. Don't put anything in someone's mailbox. It's actually a federal crime unless you're a postal carrier. So um, don't put the flyer in somebody's mailbox. Put it under a doormat, under a flower pot. Hand it to someone, whatever works for you there. General advice for working with the public: don't make physical contact or go into a stranger's home. This third one might be to your comfort level, but generally, you probably don't want to be canvassing after dark unless it's a neighborhood that's well lit or you know very well. Importantly, don't ask people for their ID numbers. Don't complete the forms for them. So you don't need to know anybody's social security number. You don't need to know their driver's license number. They can add it to the form themselves. Super important. Don't make voting seem impossible. If somebody's on the registration repair list, they can still vote using a provisional ballot. But we want the voting process to be as quick and as smooth as possible for people, which is why we're going to help them repair their registration in advance. If you are a new canvasser or you haven't used the minivan canvassing app before, maybe you just want a refresher, I'm going to share a link for another YouTube video. This is about a 5-minute training on how to canvas with minivan that was created by the company that built minivan. With that, you are ready to get started, to join us in the virtual field office and work through that short checklist of next steps. Thank you for working on this project with us, and we'll see you in the virtual field office.